Affairs Committee will now come to order. We will take up item number 1 as a consent item. Is there any questions from the committee? I see no cards from the public. Number 1, okay, consent? Yep. Okay. Number 1 is passed by consent by the committee. We have item number 2, Councilmember Perry will be here shortly, so at this time we will go to item number 4.
Item number 4 is a motion by the Chair, Cardenas, Gregorian Reyes, relative to the feasibility of renegotiating existing cellular phone service contracts and establishing a procurement policy that achieves optimal savings on existing and future contracts.
Thank you very much. We introduced a motion encouraging and expecting that the City of Los Angeles would create greater efficiencies by looking into the possibility of renegotiating the cellular phone usage contracts with the various carriers. So at this time, can you give us, bring us up to speed as to whether or not any renegotiations have gone on? And if so, what have been the results? Are today's rates better than yesterday? Are they worse? What's going on? Thank you.
Well, first of all, our contracts are cooperative.
Your name again?
I'm sorry, Deborah Ramos, Assistant General Manager, General Services. Our contracts are piggyback contracts or cooperative contracts with other agencies. And so in terms of pricing, we're not seeing a change in pricing, but what we have been able to do is kind of delve into the contracts to find out the options that are available to us, looking at the contracts or looking at what the carriers offer as sort of like a catalog, so to speak. And so what we've discovered is that we pretty much have an option of creating our own types of plans, doing a mix and match, and what we've done in conjunction with ITA is try to come up with some strategies for teaching departments how to optimize what's available on the contract. We're also working on developing a criteria for determining which carrier would be the optimal carrier for a department to use based on a set criteria. And we're in early stages, so I can't really tell you what that criteria is going to be, and ITA is actually going to be taking the lead on that process. We've also come to an agreement where General Services is awarding the contracts, and ITA is going to be the lead administrators of the contracts and will be the direct contact with departments in terms of determining which plans and how to optimize usage of the plans. Kevin?
Yes, Kevin Crawford, AGM ITA. We have gone through the contracts, the WISCA contracts and other contracts that we've piggybacked on, and found that about 10% of the plans that are available to us are actually shown on the website. So we delved in to those other plans. We also looked at a la carte menu items, meaning you can get this piece and this piece and this piece, and see if we could put them together to make it better, make better sense to the City of LA. And the ITA department itself has migrated all of us to a new plan that wasn't immediately available by just looking at the contract on the surface.
Can you give us, let's use that as an example. I expect that you're very familiar with how ITA has transitioned to a new plan. Can you tell us whether or not that has caused any savings at all? And can you tell us whether those are real savings or perceived savings? For example, there have been departments that have lost 50% of their personnel. If they say, wow, our cell phone usage cost has gone down 50%. Well, yeah, you have 50% less users. So can you put it into a real context as to whether or not it's a real savings? And if so, can you quantify that?
Yes, we lost about 10% of the cost in our cell phones through the ERIP and other personnel losses that we've experienced as we went through it. We then made a decision for the department that we were going to be looking at flat rate plans. We did the math to see if it would work for our staff. We have now completed that migration inside of the department, and in this year, while we were migrating, we have experienced a 30% decrease, estimated obviously because we have 2 more months to go, but a 30% decrease in the overall cost while increasing the number of cell phones in the department by 50%. So we brought a number of people in on the zero cost plans, meaning that the phone is only paid for if the person uses it. But then if I've got somebody out in the field and I need to talk to them, I can get a hold of them rather than having them come back to me, talk to them, and then send them right back out. So it makes them more productive.
Okay. Now, some people listening might want to question, you lose 20% of your personnel bodies, yet your number of cell phones goes up by 50%. You're either giving people 2 cell phones, somebody might assume, or you are crazy. So is it A, B, or C? C meaning you can give your own answer.
Well, I don't think we're crazy, but
Okay, that was B, so you're not picking B. All right.
so we have a number, obviously a number of more people on cell phones than we had before. A number of those were on pagers, which the pager contract
okay.
was actually more expensive than a zero-cost phone. And with the reductions of staff, it behooved us to look at whether or not those cell phones might make a staff member who role didn't require a cell phone in the past to actually require one, because we're not at our desk as much as we used to be. So yes, the number of people in the department has increased significantly that have cell phones.
That have cell phones.
I'm sorry?
The number of people that have cell phones, although the number of people in the department has decreased.
Yes.
Okay. Well, and so the main reason why the department decided to make sure that people had more cell phones is for productivity purposes, a shift in the style and the manner in which people are doing their work. What is it?
Absolutely, it's a productivity enhancement for us. A number of my staff, for instance, work up at Mount Lee or Mount Oat, out in the valley at one of the dispatch centers, and being able to get a hold of those people faster when we have issues makes us more, actually, we can respond faster because they're not waiting for a ticket to hit a pager or whatever else, or having to come back to talk to somebody because a pager you can't speak through.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're modernizing in more ways than one, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity, when you mentioned that you have more cell phones in use, give you the opportunity to explain how you are being responsible with the public's money, because I think that most people would automatically assume that you're just trying to give people more bells and whistles without having a good policy responsibility reason why. Okay? Now, when it comes to all the other departments, there's approximately 40 departments that actually have cell phone use that are being paid for by the city taxpayers. How and when, or is it going to come along that other departments have or will or are going to actually transition into more efficient cell phone usage and more efficient cell phone cost?
Well, that's something we're working with GSD right now to determine the best way to explain to the other departments what the options are that they have, because obviously what we chose in ITA may not work in every single other department. But with the other plans that we've found and the services that we can provide through cell services, we believe that the savings can be generated almost universally across those departments. But again, it'll be department by department, sitting down with them, talking to them how they're used, what the business requirements are, and then matching those to the best plans that we can find.
Okay. So once you've done this, are you done evaluating or monitoring, or your willingness to actually engage in a different contract 6 months down the road, a year down the road? Are you done for the next 10 years? You're not going to look at this, or is this something that you will constantly monitor?
Now, one of the things that we've worked out with the cell carriers is that we expect them to come to us. We're going to be going through each of these plans that the city does choose to utilize, and make sure that those plans still make sense every 3 months, so that we look at these things as an ongoing process rather than rely that, well, it was good in April of 11, so it's going to be good until wherever. So it is something that we're going to be reviewing on an ongoing basis.
So basically, you'll review it as necessary, but at minimum, it sounds like you'll be reviewing it 4 times a year, once every 3 months. Okay. Anything else from GSD?
I just want to also bring up a point that GSD has also switched carriers since we've begun this process. I don't know the exact percentages, but I know that we're saving an average of about $4,000 a month. And we've adopted a plan totally different from what ITA has adopted. So we're confident that there are so many options out there that we could mix and match and figure out a way for every department to achieve savings and efficiencies.
And when it comes to cell phones, some of these cell phones are pretty darn expensive. For example, there's the Android, and there's all kinds of different versions of what the latest, greatest actual units are. Do any of these plans actually allow us to have a new cell phone without paying for it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that could save anywhere between $50 on up per cell phone. Okay, and we're dealing with thousands of units in the city. So that's a good thing as well. Yes.
Councilman Mark Wolf with ITA. I just wanted to add that also, to add to my colleagues' comments, also directly in response to this motion by your committee, we went forward, we sent out correspondence on the 21st of April to department heads and elected official offices, at least providing information how they can already begin to evaluate their cell phone plans and usage of their current cell phones within their departments, and gave them some concrete examples on how we were able to achieve 30% savings within our department. And as Deborah has mentioned, this isn't a one-size-fits-all type of situation in terms of a phone plan, but this already, even prior to us having more formalized procedures and instructions for departments, gives them already an opportunity to look at their cell phone usage and determine ways to optimize their plans. And that was really at the direction of this committee that we took that action.
Thank you. So which department administers the contracts?
ITA.
IT administers the contracts. And there's different labels that we have for contracts that the city has. Are these commodity or service contracts?
These are commodity.
They're commodity contracts? Okay. And then, so the bottom line is, by providing this real analysis and research, we're basically disseminating it through all the departments so that they can decide which one fits them, correct?
Absolutely.
Were we more acting like a one-size-fits-all pretty much in the past when it came to cell phones?
In our initial review, the overwhelming majority of people had a 300-minute plan across the board.
Wow.
And so it was a one-size-fits-all.
Okay, thank you.
The governor decided that they're going to cut state cell phones by 50% and save $20 million. And I did a motion requesting a 10% reduction. And I don't know whatever happened with that, because what I'm hearing is that while the number of personnel is down, cell phones are up.
In one department.
And how many departments have two-way communication within their vehicles, other than the police and the fire department? IT, water and power, airport, harbor. I mean, if they got the communication, have we looked into, say, maybe you don't need a cell phone because you can communicate with your department through the two-way radio communication?
That would be one of the business things that we would look at. One of the questions that we sent out in the letter was, is there another way to meet this request without a cell phone? And so that is one of those very specific questions that we asked.
Because I know the fire department and LAPD have the laptops in the cars. They can transmit, they can communicate, they can broadcast. It just seems unique that we're losing personnel on one end and we're getting more cell phones on the other end. I don't know if we've ever done an analysis of how many folks work inside of an office who really don't need a cell phone versus those that work in the field and communicate with their particular department.
The increase in ITA were all people that work on the road. And the majority of the increase has been people that we took pagers from, which that contract actually was more expensive than a zero-cost cell phone. And since the zero-cost cell phone was actually a more functional device, meaning you had more functions in it, back to the Councilman Cardenas's comment, the cell providers actually give us free phones for those zero-cost plans, so there's no cost for the device either. And so that is how the cost has come down in our department, even though we've increased by 50%.
Does IT have an internal communication system to a radio system?
No.
Mark, other than police and fire, water and power, airport, harbor?
Recreation and parks, public works, the majority of the staff, the majority of the departments that have field crews have the radio communications in their vehicles.
So if they need something, they can do that request to the radio communication not through the cell phone.
It's very possible, yes, Councilman, I would say that's correct. The only exceptions may be, for example, in situations where they drive the vehicle to a site and they're doing the majority of their work in the site and they don't have a portable radio, then those might be instances if it's critical to have communications that they would have another
It
method.
just seems ironic that we're having more cell phones and fewer bodies, and we're trying to cut back, because if we get the cell phone for free, we're still paying a cost for the use of that airtime. The cost from 5 cents to 65 cents, and that doesn't include, pardon me?
I thought it said
6.5 cents.
I'm sorry, there are some plans that are cell to cell, so if you're within the same plan, using GSD as an example, a lot of our field personnel, we don't have a radio system, so some of our truck operators, we've given them cell phones. They don't have an allocation of minutes per se, but they're able to communicate internally. We also do the same thing with our...
At no charge?
At no charge. We also do the same thing with our custodial workers, where we've got workers in the field, sometimes working on their own after hours, and so as a safety measure, we've given them the cell phones, but they don't have any minutes unless they need to call 911, which
Right.
doesn't count, but
Right.
but they're able to communicate with their supervisors and with other employees all within the same plan.
Well, it's like the Nextel system where you do the beeps and then you
Exactly,
connect.
exactly.
And it seems to be a very effective system. I know that we've had that system before. I know that AT&T has now purchased T-Mobile, and as they start to merge back together again, and that seems to be the history, where they have a number of different providers and then they shrink down.
Right.
Same thing with the telephone company. But the competitive spirit, if we had everybody on a 300-minute plan, that really doesn't show a lot of insight as to how much we can save. Do we have an analysis of what their annual bill is for cell phones? How many millions of dollars?
Yes.
The state's talking about saving 20 million with a 50% cut.
We do have that number, Councilman. Well, I don't have the figure handy, what the annual spend is.
Right, I believe it's about 4.9 million, including the air cards and push-to-talk.
But 4.9 million, is that for all departments, including
All
proprietary, or just, it seems low.
That
Non-
I think the-
non-proprietary.
I think the spend
Non-proprietary.
excludes the proprietary department.
Excludes proprietary
It
departments?
excludes, yes.
And do we include them in the plan, when we do the corporate buys, do we include the proprietary, or are they on their own?
They have the same option to piggyback off this contract. The contract is a Western State Alliance, or a California State was the previous Verizon contract, I believe. So it's a number of different agencies that have joined together, and Water and Power does have the option of joining into this group, but I'm not sure if they have or not.
And what about the airport and harbor?
It's the same.
Pardon me?
I'm not sure if they...
We need to check on that to let them know that, I mean, normally, the more you buy, the less it's going to be. And if you go to Costco, you know that.
Right.
Because the more you buy, the less it is. And if we have a lot of cell phones with different departments, they're not purchasing that big bulk, we may be able to save, even though it's water and power proprietary, it's still money that has to be spent.
Well, these rates are based on a national
Right.
grouping, so if the proprietaries were to join on, it would not change the price.
You're already getting the bulk rate.
We're already
No,
getting...
I'm saying, I know, but they would get the bulk rate. In
Oh,
other
they
words,
would, yes, yes.
To provide for them, so they would be able to save some money. That's what I'm
Correct.
talking about.
Correct.
Not make ours any lower, but
Right,
help
right.
assist them.
We've included the proprietary departments in our communications to let them know what we're
Okay,
doing.
so they're aware of it.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I go to Councilmember Perry, see if she has any questions on this item that we're on. No questions? I just wanted to make a comment. As much as experience as our current governor has, it's unfortunate that, in my opinion, what he did do is he got a lot of press on that announcement. The state of California is in excess of $25 billion in the hole, and even though he got a lot of press there, we're still about $25 billion in the hole. So I really do appreciate the staff at the City of Los Angeles responding to the motions of the policymakers of the City Council and to actually address the issues as we have asked, but at the same time going above and beyond that and actually addressing the issues in real time and saving us money already, even before the actual final action of the council has taken place, because it is your prerogative to try to save money as quickly as you can, and you've already started to do that in some departments. So I want to thank you very much for that, and thank God you're not politicians and only some of us are, because you're actually saving us money before the politicians are done talking.
What are you saying? I thought you were a state legislator before.
Was.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm local government now, I know better.
He's
Exactly.
in recovery.
I'm in recovery.
Oh, man.
That was a shot at the legislature and the governor as they keep taking our money. Maybe if they could get a little quicker about saving some, they wouldn't take more of ours. So that concludes the presentations on item number 4. And so we have no public comment cards on item number 4 before us. So the recommendation before the committee is to adopt the motion. And there's a placeholder on the council, correct?
That's it?
It is on for tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, that
you.
item is approved. So now we'll go to item number 2.
For item 2, the General Services Department has submitted a report relative to a request for authority to negotiate and execute a ground lease between the City of Los Angeles and the Little Tokyo Service Center Community Development Corporation. And it is a nonprofit. You have been given a copy of the amended recommendation, which deals with the terms and conditions.
Reginald Jones Sawyer, Department of General Services, Asset Management Division. Before you have an amended copy of a report that was approved by the Municipal Facilities Committee. There's really only one change, which is was requested that we provide that the Little Tokyo Service Center provide a surety bond, that in the event during construction there are any problems, that it would be insured so that we could move forward with whatever else we needed to do. What you're looking at is 39,149 square feet of land that the Little Tokyo Service Center plans to build a Budokan on the property, which is a
gym.
to build a gym, which is will be commonly called a Budokan.
Okay.
It'll be a 38,000 square foot gymnasium. It'll have 4 high school sized basketball courts. In addition, it will have a rooftop garden with a jogging track. It'll have retail. It'll provide recreation, education, health and fitness center, and a lot of other community benefits. The property itself is worth $6.8 million, and we've estimated that if we were to do a traditional ground lease, it would be $32,000 per month in lease costs. This is a no-cost lease for 25 years with an extension for another 25 years, basically a total of 50 years. In exchange for a no-cost lease, the LTSC, the Little Tokyo Service Center, plans to build a $16.5 million gymnasium, which all the aforementioned that I talked about, a parking structure for about $4.4 million. In addition, they will probably bring in the first 25 years over $3 million worth of community benefits to the area. All in all, we're looking at about $25 million over that time in benefits to the city for this no-cost lease. The department is asking for this committee to go ahead and approve us to move forward, negotiate this lease, and finally get it done so that the community can go out and begin to raise some money to build this recreation facility.
Okay. So the bottom line is, so that any of the public who's listening doesn't get alarmed and thinking that we're giving something away for free, basically what you've just described to the committee here is that instead of doing a month-to-month lease with this organization, they're going to do an in-kind benefit to the community and to the property owners, the City of Los Angeles, in that they will commit to expending at least $16.5 million of building, etc., that will not belong to them. Once it's set on the property, it actually will belong to the land, the real estate land, which is retained by the people of Los Angeles, correct?
Correct.
right? Because it's not like they're going to build it on stilts, and then if for some reason 20 years later they say, oh, we found a better place across the street, they're going to take the facility and move it. The facility will stay with the land. So that means that the benefit of the building, at the end of the day, literally, will remain with the land, which remains with the owner of the property, which is the city of Los Angeles, people of Los Angeles.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that people understand that they're not getting a free lease,
Correct.
right? Instead of paying cash money on a monthly basis, they're going to go ahead and invest $16.5 million at least in the property, and that $16.5 million worth of building space, et cetera, will then belong to the people of Los Angeles. However, through the time of the lease, it will be utilized for the purposes as specified in the lease, which will benefit the public, correct?
Actually, the minimum will be about 21 million that they're going to invest for parking and a structure. So
Okay.
it'll improve it greatly.
Okay. Ms. Perry, the property's in your district, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd love to say that I'm overjoyed. Since its inception, this project has been debated, discussed, planned for. I think it's probably, 20 years now? Is it 20 years? It's a long time. 'Cause I was working on this when I was a staff person, and that was a while ago. So,
You look young in this picture, too.
thank you. To be at this day, finally, I have to say thank you to the community for the community's extraordinary patience and tenaciousness and willingness to continue the negotiation process with the city. I want to thank Marie Rumsey in particular for making sure that every time I nagged her, she always had an answer for me. To all of you, now we can commence the capital campaign finally, and you know that I'm as excited about this as you are, and I hope to be able to work with you to help you get this done, because this will be an extraordinary community asset. And if you've ever been able to take the time to witness the popularity of intramural basketball for boys and for girls, it brings people from everywhere. And not only that, it's going to be a multi-use facility, so it won't just be basketball. It'll be all sorts of sports and athletic activities. So I think it's a wonderful, wonderful juncture at which we find ourselves today. And thank you to General Services for your diligence. Because I know you had to do your jobs too, and even though sometimes we felt impatient, I know you were just doing your job, and so you have my thanks publicly. And
You're welcome.
thank you. So with that,
Thank you.
no delay. I just wonder, is there anybody here who's not in favor of this? Is there anybody here who doesn't support this project? Okay,
Mr. Zhang, a comment?
not you. Wait.
I support it.
Okay, yeah, get this, be clear.
Physical
Okay.
fitness. I just wanted to compliment my colleague, Jan Perry, and she's tenacious. This dated back, according to this brochure, 1970 is when the idea came about. 1970. I mean, it's 41 years ago. You were just a child.
Yeah, sort of.
But anyway, it's a long time in coming, but it looks like a beautiful facility. It'll add to the community and to the folks that have waited patiently to make this happen. And you got to look at the picture of Miss Perry, and there's a photo of her here.
You still look like me.
41 years ago, and she looks the
41
same.
years
But no, it's a great addition to the community. I want to compliment you. I know it doesn't come easy, and now you have to raise a lot of money to make it happen, but it's a great success for Councilmember Perry. So
We'll get it done.
you got my support.
Yes, thank you. My compliments to you, Councilmember Perry, as well. You were not a council member in 1970.
Thank you.
But now that you've been the council member for this area, you've actually done a lot of work to make sure that, believe it or not, moved a lot quicker with your support and your efforts as well. So thank you very much for that. We have public comment cards, and I'm assuming that this facility is going to be for people of all ages, right? Not just for basketball kids.
Yes, seniors,
So Dennis can go and play.
Thank you very much. I'll be with the senior citizen group.
Just make sure you have the defibrillator paddles in there, just in case.
Okay. I'm gonna call people up three at a time. First, we have Bill Watanabe, Kristen Fukushima, and Scott. I'm sorry, I can't read the last part, Scott.
Oh, Scott Ethel.
Ito.
And remember, we're all in support, so everybody's happy.
You will each have 2 minutes. There's no law that requires you to use the whole 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Especially when we all agree with you.
Yeah, don't change our minds that we want to
Yeah,
support
especially.
I know. You might want to quibble your head. Right. Yes, go ahead.
Actually, I had a rousing speech prepared to convince you to support this, but I want to thank you for your support, and I agree that I think this will be a great facility, not only for Little Tokyo, but for downtown. Some of the questions were, what will it be used for? And our intent is that it will be for like basketball, volleyball, martial arts, fitness classes for seniors, for exercise, and also to use it for public events and that kind of thing. So it is meant to be a multi-purpose facility. We plan to, as you've said, put in about $21 million worth of improvements on the site. We can start the fundraising as soon as this is approved. And I will say that we hope that this will be a local facility for downtown. We have our friends from Skid Row here who also want to participate. And we've also even had inquiries from like LAPD who want to play basketball there for their kind of uses as well. So we want it to be a neighborhood facility, but at the same time, we're calling this the Budokan of Los Angeles because we believe this has the potential to be the premier martial arts tournament and exhibition venue for the whole United States. There is no dedicated venue like this, and our question would be, why not here in downtown? Why not here in Little Tokyo? So one judo tournament held about 4 years ago at the Irvine Bren Center brought in $1 million worth of business. And we feel like we could do that here in Little Tokyo at this Budokan of Los Angeles. Judo, kendo, aikido, karate, all of those sports. So we thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Okay, that was Mr. Watanabe. Next. Kristen?
Yes. Hi, I'm Kristen Fukushima. I'm here representing LT Roots, which is a young adults group in Little Tokyo. I don't want to take up your time because you all seem more or less in approval of this, but so I wanted to thank you for your support on this and just let you know how much this really means to really our whole community and also to downtown. Downtown doesn't have a space like this, and I think it'd be really important to have something like this. And then also for people like myself who grew up playing basketball in the Japanese American community, it would be really great to have a space in Little Tokyo that, you know, it gives us a reason to come to Little Tokyo all the time, and it gives youth a chance to really normalize the idea of coming to Little Tokyo regularly, and it'll bring other people into downtown and have a space to just, not just like, you know, do exercise, but there will be other things involved with it, and it's for all ages, as we mentioned. So thank you for your support, and we're really excited about the project.
Thank you. Scott?
Great. Thank you. Again, my name is Scott Ito, and I'm the project director for the Budokan project. And again, I just wanted to reiterate and thank, you know, everybody here, you know, all the work that Jan has put into this project and the city in entirety, you know, for partnering with us and, you know, really making it happen. As you can see, the community is here. They're excited. Anticipating that moment when we could one day open the doors, and because there's been so many generations that have gone by without this facility, so we want this opportunity for them to make it happen. As you know, the brochure that Mr. Zine said, you know, the idea has been around since 1970, but Little Tokyo Service Center has been working on this since 1993 officially, so we've put in a lot of time and effort. So again, I just wanted to, you know, thank you for helping us to get to this point. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Renee Nakagawa, Craig Ishii, and Yasue Clark.
You see? You okay?
Yes.
Yes,
Yasue Clark. Please come up. State your name for the record, and you may begin. We have Renee, Craig, and Yasue. Sure, you're welcome. What's your name? Craig. Craig. Everybody applaud Craig.
Yay, Craig.
Go ahead. State your name for the record.
Hi, Hi, my name is Yasue Clark. I'm a community organizer from Little Tokyo Service Center, and today I'm speaking on behalf of senior residents in Little Tokyo. So these seniors are living in affordable housing, and they don't have access to any recreational facilities. So this Budokan project will help them to stay healthy and active in a safe environment, so they don't need to walk in the morning in dangerous areas. They're waiting for this project for a long time, and they're very excited now. Thank you.
Thank you. Renee?
I'm Renee Nakagawa. I'm a college student at the University of Southern California. I'm part of the of USC Nikkei, the Japanese American Club on campus. And as a college student, I want to say that I feel particularly invested in this project because, like, in a sense, like, we're the youth, we're inheriting the community. So in the future, I want to have this space to bring my family and, like, have this community center. So thank you for supporting the project.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Chris Espinosa, General Jeff, and Ileana Rosas. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Espinosa. I'm with the Mayor's Office, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with Councilwoman Jan Perry's office and the Little Tokyo Service Center for, I've been working on this project for about 7 years. And it's always been a very exciting project because we know in the Mayor's Office that it's going to be a great regional draw. It'll bring people from the South Bay and the San Gabriel Valley, Orange County, and of course a lot of our local friends here. It'll be a great facility for downtown Los Angeles, and so we support very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ilia Rosas with the UCLA Nikki Student Union. We are about a 250-member organization, the Japanese American organization on campus, same as how Renee described her group. We are also in full support of having the Budokan. A lot of our students here have worked and interned here in the downtown area, more specifically Little Tokyo, and do a lot of our own programming and different events here in Little Tokyo area. As college students, we are the future of LA, of California, and we have a huge vested interest in the Little Tokyo community, and a lot of us are coming from the background of playing basketball growing up or doing any other martial arts or other activities. I particularly am in a traditional Japanese dance group, and we have a huge interest in the Budokan, and so we wanted to endorse this project, and especially as Little Tokyo is just one of 3 Japan towns left in California, so this could be an especially big project that California can be very proud of. So thank you very much.
Thank you. General?
Good morning, Council. Good afternoon, Council. My name is General Jeff. I'm a community activist for the Skid Row community. I'm also on the board of directors for the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council. And this Budokan project is very, very important to the Skid Row community because it helps. This one single project will help to bridge the gap between the Little Tokyo community and the Skid Row community, which will also help to bring the entire downtown Los Angeles community that much closer together. I definitely want to thank the folks at Little Tokyo Service Center, Bill Watanabe, Scott Ito, and the rest of the Little Tokyo community for embracing us as a community and wanting to work with us. We've been behind this project for over a year when we first appeared at the Little Tokyo Community Council, and because we're so excited about this, I just want to ask the Skid Row community to stand up. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you. And just lastly, I want to say that it helps that Little Tokyo is in Councilmember Jan Perry's district, along with Skid Row, and she supported us in our Skid Row 3-on-3 Street Ball League since its inception. And I don't think she knew that we were coming here today, but there's a lot of energy behind this, and we're really excited. We hope that you move this forward, and we'll be there every step of the way till the doors are open. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last two speakers are Charles Porter and Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Good afternoon. Charles Porter. I work with United Coalition East Prevention Project, which is a program in Skid Row. Just echoing what General Jeff said, we're excited about this project. We come out offering our support. Skid Row has also, this is our neighbor, and we've utilized whatever recreational resources we have. As a matter of fact, the Little Tokyo branch library is very popular amongst, Skid Row community members. And so there's a great overlap, and we're looking forward to, collaborations. And the other thing is also any opportunities, local hiring, employment opportunities. That's always a plus also, since we're a neighboring community. And we're in full support of this. Any additional recreational opportunities that we can have in the Skid Row area or adjacent to Skid Row, we support, and we congratulate them for all of their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Again, I would just like to encourage you to definitely vote in the affirmative to continue to develop this project, not only in the effort or in the continued goal of uplifting and raising the standard and the quality of life for Little Tokyo, but also since they are working with Skid Row and in creating greater opportunities for the two communities to interact and more positive social participation of both the residents of Little Tokyo and Skid Row. And I would encourage you also to be mindful of any other developments that will occur in the Skid Row area in the future. And you have such a positive response from the community. Again, I hope that you do take in consideration that we hope you move forward in voting in the affirmative and in developing and in affirming or in ratifying or just in moving forth this project and all other projects that will be for the positive upliftment and continued development of the community, allowing us to continue to educate, interact, and participate positively both here in Skid Row and in the greater downtown area. As a 8-year resident of downtown, I've seen such incredible development on Skid Row due to General Jeff's direct input and the proactive measures that he's taken through issues and solutions, and also in working with USEP as a former board of directors member for LA CAN. So again, we just appreciate your consideration on this and all of the future projects, and in continuing the positive interaction between the two communities and helping the residents to participate and have a voice, whether it is socially, politically, and basically every other opportunity that we have. Thank you so much for your...
Well, I just want to make it clear that it's not only the downtown community that supports this. I was having breakfast catching up with two friends of mine from Boyle Heights, and even the people from Boyle Heights were talking very positively about this and how important this is and how long overdue it is. So the support goes far beyond downtown, and it stretches out throughout the city. This is a perfect example of a project that should take place, and a relationship between the city, the people of Los Angeles, and the community of downtown as well. Anything else, Ms. Perry? Okay.
Let's get started.
So we have a motion to approve the ground lease.
Motion.
So moved. Okay. Second it?
Second.
Okay. That item is approved. Thank you very much. We have one more item on the agenda. You're welcome. If your business has already been concluded, you're welcome to stay or leave as you wish. But we will move to item number 3.
On item 3, what you have before you is a motion, Perry Parks, relative to a private telecommunications franchise for the construction, placement, and private use of conduits for voice, data, and video transmission between the new Community Redevelopment Agency's Family Life Center and Catholic Healthcare West facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. William Imperial from ITA. This is brought before you by behest of Councilman Perry with regard to a request by the Community Redevelopment Agency to commence construction of a private line franchise facility on Venice in Council Perry's district. The private line franchise is a two-way telecommunications facility or conduit connection between two buildings. In this particular instance, the conduit that's being requested to be connected in the city's public rights-of-way is between the Community Redevelopment Agency's Family Life Center and the Catholic Health Center facilities in downtown Los Angeles. The unique thing about this, and this committee has approved these private line franchises before, is that the CRA is requesting a waiver of the franchise fees that are normally paid for the use of the city's public rights-of-way.
Is that a one-time fee or an annual fee?
It could be paid either annually or one time at the start of after the finishing of the construction. In this particular instance, the amount is $9,000 over a 10-year period, or $900 a year.
Okay.
All right. And also, they're asking for a waiver of the performance bond requirement, something that is normally required in the use of the city's public rights-of-way to ensure that if any issues come up with regard to compliance with the franchise conditions that are imposed in the franchise ordinance, that the city will be able to use that performance bond to collect on being able to remove the private line franchise facilities or the cable that's normally placed in the rights-of-way. In this instance, you're looking at a $12,000 performance bond. And ITA has taken the position, by the way, that only the council and the mayor have the complete control of the rights-of-way. ITA merely regulates the public rights-of-way at the behest of the council and the mayor.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the waiving of that bond, performance bond, does any liability fall on the shoulders of the city without that bond in place?
Yes. In the event that we need to move the conduit for some reason, maybe another project will take precedence and we ask the CRA to move it to another place and they either refuse or maybe cannot comply.
Maybe the CRA isn't here at that time? Go ahead.
That's correct. That may be an issue. But in case they can't, the city will have to remove that at its own cost.
Okay. So, now the performance bond is, the cost of the bond is $12,000 or the face value of the bond is $12,000?
The face value of the performance bond is $12,000.
Okay. So the actual cost of the bond usually is a fraction of that, correct?
That's correct, anywhere between 3 to 5%. And some entities, large entities, by the way, will provide us with letters of credit because it's easier for them to get that than a performance bond.
Okay. So basically, they're asking us to waive a performance bond, which costs them anywhere between about $500 to maybe $700.
Yes.
And if we weren't to waive that, whose shoulder would the $9,000 and/or this performance bond that costs $700 or less, whose shoulders would that fall on if we did not waive it? Would it be CRA? Would it be the charity? Who is it?
Well, it would have to be the CRA. They're the applicant in this particular instance. Okay. And if waived, then the responsibility would just not exist. But if the city had to remove the and here again, it's just an assumption of risk here. If the city had to remove the facilities, then it would fall on the city's shoulders at that time.
Okay.
A little amendment, quick amendment.
Ms. Berry?
Just a couple of quick comments on the issue. I wanted to make a technical amendment, changing the project name from the Family Life Center to the Hope Street Family Center. And The reason that we're even discussing this issue of waiving the franchise fee of $9,000 is because the Hope Street Family Center will be a public venue and is being supported with public funds, so it just doesn't make sense to charge the project and delay its construction further. This one is another one that's been going on for a long time in terms of getting it to this day.
And the franchise fees ends up where when it gets paid? What pot?
It goes into the telecommunications development account, and it is split 60-40, 60 to the general fund and 40% to the TDA. And with regard to the time period, it's been with the city attorney's office since, I believe, April of last year, through no fault of ITA. I just want to make that really clear.
Mr. Zhang?
This is in your district, Mr.
Yep.
Perry?
Mm-hmm.
You support this?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Then I have
Absolutely.
no objection.
Okay, so we have a motion to move the item. I see no public comment. As
Mr.
amended.
Chair.
I see no public comment cards.
Councilmember Cardenas, Mr. Chair. I forgot to indicate that ITA has submitted a report on this item. The recommendation contained in that report is to basically approve the application subject to approval by the council and the mayor. However, the motion does have additional recommendations, so I don't know, you want to approve the motion with amendments?
Yes, so approve the motion with amendments as stated in the report, and also the technical amendment that Ms. Perry
Okay.
announced.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's the motion before us. There's no public comment cards on item number 3. Public comment is now closed. So with that, this item is approved, unanimous, by this committee.
Thank you.
Those